So when Heber C. Kimball, they first arrived, the first place that they went to was Preston. And so when they were in Preston, Joseph Fielding, his brother, was actually a preacher in Preston, so they were able to go to a place where they were familiar with. And Joseph Fielding's, his brother, he offered up the church for them to be able to preach in. And after a few sermons, he pretty abruptly told them, "You're not welcome here anymore." A lot of members, a lot of people were very, very intrigued. And so the first baptisms actually took place just outside of Preston, near the River Ribble. And when they had those first baptisms, there was hundreds and hundreds of people that lined up along the banks of the river just to kind of see what was going on. They had these American preachers over, and they were baptizing them in the river. And the story goes that there was a race to see who was the first one to be baptized. And I believe it was Twistleton Turdley that he was the first one to get down into the water, and he was baptized by Heber C. Kimball. And after that, the church only continued to grow and grow. And there are many, many saints that continue to join the church. One of the neat things about England is there's a lot of big cities, but there's also a lot of kind of quaint villages. There's a lot of places that might only have a couple hundred people there, and there's a lot of really, really rich history in regards to the small villages and communities. And one of those places is called Downham. It's actually one that's it's one of I don't know if it's the National Trust or another organization, but they've actually maintained the historical site. So all of the houses, the church, everything's kind of been maintained, to how it was, in the 1800s. And not only that, they don't allow them to put up telephone lines. There's just like a lot of things that they've been able to keep out of it. And so I was able to go and visit Downham, and that's actually a place where Heber C. Kimball went and taught the gospel. And there's kind of like a lot of folklore surrounding that village, about like the people being wicked people, or not being able to, that there's a lot of still kind of traces of the ideas of like witchcraft or like other folklore type stuff. And so Heber C. Kimball was told not to go there, but he felt prompted to go, and he taught the people for a amount of time, and ultimately when he left, he described it feeling like he was leaving his family behind. And he describes leaving Downham and the kids singing, and also chasing him as he went. And he describes walking out of Downham and and just being overcome and really filled with the Spirit, and really just breaking down into tears. And he just felt such a really unique spirit in that village. And later, when he came back to Nauvoo, he was telling Joseph about his experiences, and Joseph told him, "Well, don't you see, that's where some of the prophets before have walked." And so there's actually a lot of, England has like a really rich, almost like a folklore, but almost like this history of, believing that a lot of the prophets have walked there. And one of their songs that they love is called Jerusalem. And it describes, the idea that Christ, maybe came up along one of the trade routes as a boy and walked on England's pastures and green hills. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's really, it's really such a rich part of their history, and that's something that Heber C. Kimball was also able to be a very real part of, in teaching in Downham and Chatburn, the surrounding villages. And that's kind of what Joseph, was a big deal to him, that Joseph said, yeah, like, this is where the prophets have walked before. And that's something that I really felt when I was there serving as well.